can hear you?
Yeah, you can hear me. I can hear
Okay.
you.
Before we start, I would like just to thank you for the invitation in this particular circus, which I think have never been. So it's a discovery and enlarging my time space of knowledge. And it's a big pleasure and happiness to be here with you. And I'm sure we will have a good exchange of ideas.
Wonderful. Well, Michael, we're really lucky to have you here, and I was so happy that we had our chance meeting on the Vaporado in Venice with Kamila. That's such a wonderful story, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the same. It was not a coincidence.
No, it wasn't. It was not a coincidence. So I'm going to just introduce you to our viewers. So Michael Bielický, even though there's no CH, I think I did it okay. Okay, was born in 1954 in Prague. He's a Czech-German media artist and professor known for his innovative work in video art, interactive installations, and new media, amongst other things I may add. He immigrated to Germany as a teenager, studied under Nam June Paik, excuse me if I'm pronouncing
No,
that
it's
incorrectly.
correct. It's
At
better
the,
than most people
okay,
pronounce it.
I take that as a compliment.
It
At
is.
the Okay, but the next one is hard. At the Kunstakademie Düsseldorf.
Yeah,
And
which
later
used to be
found,
the most famous school in the world for art. The
oh,
biggest
okay.
artist, really, biggest artist of all the world. I was just lucky. It was not my achievement. I was just in the right time in the right place.
We don't believe in coincidence. You were chosen.
Thank you.
You've done some tremendous work, and I got your wonderful book, and I quickly realized that there's absolutely no way that we're going to be able to cover even 5% of that which you've done. But I'd love to discuss some of that and your experiences. So, let's dive in. So, number one, before I talk about just two pieces that I really wanted to focus on, as someone who spent their life in experiencing and expressing experiences and thoughts through art, would you say, in your opinion, that art is not just the elicitation of emotion, but rather it's the communication of an abstract or an idea through some physical manifestation? Would you define it as such?
I would even go farther. I would say, first of all, I will start like this. I have a pessimistic and one optimistic perception of it. The pessimistic is that, of course, art. What is art today? What is art 20 years ago, and 100 and 1,000 years ago? It was always shifting. The question is if we should, if I'm very radical in some way, if we should still call it art because there is so much commercialized and so much. I'm meanwhile so far that I say, wow, it looks like art, when I see art, if you know what I mean. So with another words, to answer your question, I think it's a very individual. And for me, uh, two reasons became, I would say, even not an artist, but I became somebody who is interested to practice in some way in a creative field. The first was this is a field which is the most spacey, which gives you most freedom to exist, but also responsibility.
Well, what do you mean by freedom to exist?
By freedom to exist, I mean that you are not in, we are born and we are automatically educated by educational system. And of course, the system tries, whatever the educational system is, uh, kind of put us to some, not in a bad sense, but automatically it does in I call it grid. So you get formatted. I believe that the humans have amazing potential, creative, intellectual, and unfortunately, most of the wonderful souls which just appear on this earth get step by step formatted to be able to function within the society, to be able to not be completely out of the grid. So my instinct was not to be in this grid. It was even not me. It was maybe somebody guided me. So I started first to study medicine because my family, everybody, my father was a prominent professor, scientist, my brother, it was a doctor family. So I was automatically in the grid to become a doctor. Mm-hmm. And I failed. And I was suddenly close to 30 years old and I didn't know what to do with my life. And it was really, I ran away and I was nothing and others became already doctors. So I was a completely loser. I went to New York, lost, trying to find myself, becoming a horse cab driver because I ran out of money in the Central Park. You know, I had never to do with horses. So things happened and I came back and I got finally with 30 years accepted in this outstanding school, which would accept very few people. And I was already 30 and my colleagues were 20 and I didn't even realize. But from the first day I started be there, each project was somehow, there was an interest in television, in museums, everything. And I was saying, well, how it's possible? So with 30 I became student. And with 36, I became a professor in Prague. Wow. So I lost 10 years and I jumped 20 ahead. So this is what I'm trying to say. This is a kind of life where you look for freedom and for your freedom means responsibility. It's not freedom, I do what I want. But taking responsibility and creating and coming back to the function of artist, I took always art as a spiritual, as a intellectual, but also as a sensual thing. And I was always also interested because I'm Jewish, and my Jewishness awaked just after the emigration to Germany, because my parents were Holocaust survivors or grandparents disappeared, so really traumatized family, and then living in a communist country where there was anyway lots of anti-Semitism. So my Jewishness was kind of hidden.
Right.
And ironically, or paradoxically, in Germany, which had such amazing negative history with Jews, I became aware of what it could mean for me. So I was very much interested also to use this new technology because I was in the field. I was not painter, I was not sculpture, I was in a video in that time. It was very innovative technology, later on in computer. So I saw those technologies are wonderful to reflect on Jewish history. It's not a contradiction. Opposite, you can reinterpret or reinvent old concepts in a new way. This was my interest. But not only. I also didn't want it to be only this typical, this is an artist who does Jewish art. Okay.
Right. Well, what would have happened to your father if he was given freedom? It sounds to me that you're saying that there's a system in play which encourages people to be in that box. So what would happen if we just removed the edges of that box? I ask myself this question a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, to be honest, it seems that and it's not an arrogant, or it seems that there is not every human being is
pre-programmed.
Pre-programmed, thank you. Pre-programmed to be really, to take the responsibility and operate in its own, let's say, ideas out of the grid. So it seems that many people need at least some kind of grid to find an orientation, moral, intellectual, because some people need a little bit more guidance, some less. And I don't think it's not their achievement, it's just given by God, if you want. You are just lucky. I consider myself, I just won in lottery sometimes. It's not...
Why do you feel that way?
Because sometimes I feel that I am, how should I say it in the right way? I think that when I had not always, my father died when I was very young or relatively young. I was 19 and it was big thing. And but I was generally, compared to the generation of my parents, which went through Holocaust, communism, lost all family, everything, I was just lucky child, and always. So I think it's not a coincidence, and still it's not my, how should I say, it's not by my intellectual power or my will. I think I'm very, I would say, paradoxically, I'm very not disciplined person. I'm not very career orientated. I was not keen in. I like to be lazy. I like to, and I did still lots of work. It's a paradoxical.
Hmm.
You understand? So
Right.
I believe when they ask, always on those YouTube videos, you have to be disciplined, you have to focus. I would say always the opposite. I would say all opposite in my case. But of course, it's also maybe just lucky, and Hashem was friendly with me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, I mean, there definitely is, a certain selection of God to you, but more than that is, I do feel that the education system that we're used to, at least recently, is one that just encourages certain pathways of growth. And I'm not just talking about art. I mean, I wonder what a doctor would feel like if they felt that they had freedom of expression even within becoming a doctor. Maybe they choose multiple disciplines, or maybe they'd focus on different things, right? And by the way, let's just use Judaism as an example, because we brought it up a bunch of times. But classically, in the times of the Gemara, the times of the Talmud, there wasn't, not everyone went to blacksmith school that they had between 2 and 3 p.m. when they were in yeshiva, right? People were lumberjacks, blacksmiths, builders, writers, sculptors. Like there was
Many things, yeah.
right, anything. I think that encouraging that sort of freedom, meaning you're the person who you are on an essence level, is someone that likes to express through artistic talent, but at least to a certain degree.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think you can deny that. Mine, I didn't feel constrained in my upbringing. Like I chose a particular path because I felt it was the way that I expressed myself, and I think people have their own particular pathways that they need to follow.
Absolutely. I absolutely would sign what you say. And very important thing, in a way, to express myself, to be artist. It's very egoistic, very narrow-minded, very boring mostly. It's not so exciting. There is lots of myth around artists. There are great artists, rabbi, great artists, doctors in the hospital. It's not about this. It's a big cliche. For this, even when people ask me what are you, and I feel even ashamed to say I'm an artist, because for me it is more negative, and I'm not.
Why? Unpack that. Unpack that. Why is it more negative?
It's a lot, especially in today's, because there is so much fake. So much people do art because they know they could make career and make money. I mean, everybody has to live from something. It's not about this. But maybe I have a very idealistic. I think artist is a way of life, way of thinking, generosity, not being just some kind of autistic, I do whole day circles and look and bite and ego and narcissism. It's a multi-layer. There are so many aspects of this whole artist approach, identity, practice. Even in the art schools today, the students in first year already look for gallerists, and gallerists look for them because they can get cheap. So it's so calculated. It has nothing to do with art. I think art, anybody can have an art. How should I say it correctly? Have an artistic mind, meaning this really free intellectual, and then it doesn't matter if you express yourself. This is also, as you said, it's an expression. What you do, if you are good in what you do, you are an artist. Anyway.
So then you tell me, what is the real artist then?
Well, this would be big chutzpah from me to say now. Of course, I can say subjectively for me. It's somebody who is open and focused and generous and not so. Many artists are so me, this ego driven, which is so pathetic. And they don't care if it's interesting or not, and they push it. So also this to restrain, you say restrain? How you
Yeah,
say
restrain,
it?
to restrain. Yeah,
Restrain yourself with this me artist here, and you put your in all the room, all the world, and look, and I'm the center of universe. Pathetic.
So what are
Pathetic.
you? Is it more like a dancer? Are you? What? I'm trying to figure out exactly. So
I know. Maybe the moment I try to define it, it goes somewhere else. But you know, as I said, it's a way. You know, it's like a holistic way of. It sounds pathetic, probably,
No.
of being in this world, having some consciousness, not being serious about yourself, having even self-irony, having generosity, but being having perception which other people, and this is really given, I think, by God, that you have some perception you see more than the others. But it's not your achievement, you just were equipped by lottery, by Hashem, who knows? So if you have certain sensibility, you have also certain responsibility.
Well, it sounds like a philosopher to me. Then that sounds like a
It's
philosopher.
also, it can be philosopher. You cannot separate it. It's not a contradiction to be a intellectual, philosophical, and create and try to express. But having a, you know, I was very lucky here in Karlsruhe. I was in a very prominent institute teaching, and there was a museum also. One of the best places in the world. I was very honored, and I was surrounded by world-class philosophers and artists, really like top. Lucky, I always say lucky, I don't know, because it's always repeating, and I say it cannot be all the time luck. You must have sometimes bad luck. But, you know, we became friends, and I would, twice a week, we would cook in one of these guys, the older guys, one is very famous international philosopher. And I thought, and we had a very good talk, but it's not always, you know, we are high, we talk just very smart things. Also banalities and normal life and fun and pathetic. And he got a little bit drunk, and he would be, I said, if your audience would see you now, they would have this, you know, because we have always this image outside the world, and then we are also humans, right?
Right.
So, it's not a contradiction being, and we had a good connection. So I'm artist, he's philosopher, but of course we can connect also on mental, intellectual, and philosophical level, and he understands what I do as an art. It's not a separated either philosopher or visual artist. It can be both. It can be. It must not. There are some people which need hands to do all the time something. You know, there are different reasons why people do art. Some really for self-therapeutic reasons. If they would not do this all day, they would get crazy.
So I think, tell me then if you would agree with this line. You don't work as an artist.
Say it again.
You don't work as an artist. You are an artist. You don't like calling yourself an artist, but I think that's close.
You could say that.
It's a lifestyle. It sounds like it's a life.
It's a lifestyle.
Way of looking.
It's you know, as I said, you know, I have periods. When I look in this book, I did lots of work and very complex, because you have to, you know, it's not just I need people, I need programmers, technicians, engineers, money. It's so many. I wonder why I choose this, because I'm so unpractical. I'm not a nerd. I'm not interested in technology, and I still do it. It's also a contradiction. You understand? I do something I have not really skills. And still, I believe in the potential of this kind of project. So it's also a paradox. And I like to be also do nothing or travel or forget about it. It's not like I'm now every day working for it. I also don't like to call somebody to make connections. There are artists which are all day like managers making connections and sending emails. I never done it. Mm-hmm. I think it's pathetic. But still, compared to this, how little I did, somehow it worked out. Some people say if you would work double and make double, you would be a world star. Maybe. But even I question if I wanted to be a world star. Even this is a burden, somehow. if you understand.
So what do you want?
That's a good question. That's a good question. This is a really good question. Well, I guess, look, I'm 71, I will be 72. I was somehow floating through the life, through amazing life of a history of my parents, communism, coming to Germany, this kind of awakening of hippie time and liberation of the society and lots of music and culture impact. And in the place where I was, there was amazing culture impact. So I was just affected by all those things. Of course, by what else than some private subjective experiences. And I just remember, and my wife Kamila, which you met briefly in Vaporetto in Venice. In one thing we are same, you know, when you are small, they ask you, what do you want to become? And children say, I didn't want to become nothing. And Kamila the same. You know, I didn't have an identification. I want to become I don't know, pilot, or I want to become whatever. Yes, all those. So I guess you get born. You are. I didn't want to become at the end doctor, but I knew I have a potential, and of course you look for somehow also deeper reasons of being. Mm-hmm. And you look for answers. And I was in early days in when I came to Germany, and I was become for social reason in the Jewish community, kind of getting friends and socializing. I remember there was a library, and there was there is this German writer Gershon Scholem, who is one of the few German Jewish scientists who wrote about Kabbalah, but not as a private, you know, in a very particular way, so you could somehow breathe it, because if you read the primer text, it's not for, nobody can access it, as it's very difficult to access. So this had big influence on me, and it's not that I could understand what is it about, but I got some vibrations and feelings, and I was very much interested in some works of my own.
I think, if it's okay, I'd like to jump into some
Whatever.
of your art pieces.
Sure.
So, out of all the art pieces that I saw so far, the one that hit me the most was 79. Wow, what an amazing piece. What a thought-provoking piece. So I have so many questions about 79.
Sure.
So for our viewers, so 79, you can look it up, is basically a orb that is supported on this black structure with rings, and it is a artificial intelligence bot. Although I'm sure I'm butchering it in front of you, Michael, I apologize, but I'm very struck by it because it is designed to be able to react to people's input, verbal inputs, and be able through artificial intelligence to create liturgy and its own interpretation of the things in which you say. Now, the reason why this struck me so much is, you know, when thinking about what it represents, you know, when we read Bereshis in the beginning of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God created everything, we know that from the Midrash, we know that and Kabbalah, we know that he used the Torah itself, he used the letters of the Torah to create the entire universe. And we find ourselves now for the first time using code to do almost what seems to be like a mirror, the same thing. And furthermore, what really is amazing, and I think has a lot of repercussions to what's currently happening in the artificial intelligence field, but the Rambam in his philosophical work, the Moreh Nevuchim, so in there he says that there's the pasuk in Bereshis, Tzelem Elokim bara osam, that Hashem gave us the image of God. What is the image of God? The image of God is intelligence, meaning that is the godliness that we possess. I'm assuming that he's defining the soul. And what are we doing now that we could not have done before? We've been able to make machines and computers, you know, for a long period of time, but now we can create intelligence. We are creating intelligence, things that have cognition, and they think purposefully. And God did the same thing also with intelligence. It was a intentional design by God to create an intelligence, and we can do the exact same thing in the code level. So, number one is, did I get that right? Were you trying to convey that? Because that's what really hit me. That's number one. And two, I want you to break down how you feel about this. Are we indeed mirroring God? What does this really mean for us? And do you think intelligence is a reflection of what the soul really is, or is the soul maybe something more? Does artificial intelligence is it a copy of the soul, or is it in a way it is the soul on some level?
Many very important and essential questions. First of all, regarding the project itself, I have to go one step back to this Gershon Scholem, and I will send you. It's a 3 pages a chapter of a small book called. He did several books called Judaica, reflecting on Judaism and on mysticism. And this is my key text. I kneel and pray because it's called Golem from Prague, Golem from Rehovot. Rehovot is a city in Israel where there is the early days of computer research happened there in yes. So he compared the medieval this mythological idea of Golem with the modern Golem, which is the computer and AI. And there is so many parallels. Unbelievably. I will send it to you. I have an English version of it. You have to read it. And this is my kind of key. I think this was my essence. And of course, he said, beside many other things, that Golem, he worked with this Shem on his head. There was written Emet, and when you remove the E, there was a Met. So truth or death, right? And he collapsed. And he say in the same principle works today the computer. It's also a code. Right. And many other things. I will send. So this was kind of for me an important input. And since I'm from Prague, and since I was always interested in Maharal of Prague, because I'm from there, and by coincidence, when I was 4 years old with my mother, we were in this beautiful synagogue, which is one of the oldest synagogues, working synagogues in Europe, Altschul. It's 800 years old. I was just for Rosh Hashanah here now, after many years. And there is this chair where Rabbi Maharal, Rabbi Löw, used to sit. And there is a why not to sit there? Because it's a tradition not...
Of course, yeah.
Yes. Right. When I was 4 years old, I went with my mother in the synagogue, and suddenly I sit on this. And they came to me and moved me away. Maybe that's the reason why I do what I do. I sometimes say
Could be.
But to come back to 79, of course, we did it together with Kamila, because Kamila is studying a lot of things, and we had it appeared in a dialogue. And first of all, I would not. This AI we use there is still before ChatGPT. And we have not the ambition that now it will talk and you get this straightforward reaction. We also coquette a little bit. So what we did, basically it's a little bit me, the 79. 79 means Golem in Hebrew letters. When you write Golem, you know better than me.
Oh my gosh, that's interesting. Okay, interesting.
So Golem means 79. This is why we call it 79. Mm-hmm. But that's just formal thing.
I didn't know that. That's very interesting. Okay.
Yeah, there are much more things. And it was not the ambition, now it will talk to, you will have feeling, you talk with AI. Already in this, every time I have technology, I like to use it in ironical, in upside, in an anti-intuitive way. I don't like this one-to-mom, now I will become I show you what we make
lots of... Golem at 79. I completely hear what you're saying.
Yeah, and we put lots of texts I wrote in my life about this idea about artificial intelligence, Golem, about this we talk now about. I wrote and published some things and had a discussion with people and conferences. So all those texts we put in the AI. So when the people talk to it, it talks all the time, not what they wanna, like, how are you, or what is the time, or what is the weather, but he talks, or it talks always about Golem and AI and other things. You understand?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's
And
not.
this was your impetus. It was the connection between creation and what we're doing.
Yeah. And of course, it makes totally sense. And who else? There are so many Jews involved in this whole AI and technology. And that, there is not, there are so many Jewish artists, scientists. I think there is some connection between this idea of uh, uh, being created by God and doing an analogy. Today we have the ability of technological analogies, which looks similar. If they are, was your next question. It's a big question. I tell you what I think, but I'm nobody. I think you can imitate, you can get very close. It can be even, that's the tricky thing, that AI can become in a way more friendly, more sensitive, more give you affection and idea that it likes you than humans. That's the tricky. And still it's not, because it doesn't feel.
Interesting.
And that's so dangerous. So in the already today in Japan, in the how you call these places for old people,
A nursing home.
nursing, they have robots and they love them and they are very attached and they had talk with them and they don't feel lonely. They feel how you call it? Now I'm missing the word when you have not affection, but you have empathy.
Mm.
They are very empathic. So it's a very dangerous thing because it can act better than we often. You understand?
Why is that dangerous?
Because I still believe that we have this one more thing that AI doesn't have, and this is we can call it soul. We can call it something we cannot grab. We talk about it and we cannot grab it, and we don't know what is it, and it's there, and we talk about it all life long if we are interested, of course, about
So,
this.
so it's whatever the soul is that you're saying. It's not emotional. So it's not emotion, and it's not cognition. It's not intelligence. So then, what are we
It's
missing?
something I look. It's some dimension which is difficult to frame by words, or if you try it's just small aspect of it. So it's there is some kind of, you can call it energy, you can call it, I don't know, I'm missing, there is some, let's call it soul, that just to that we understand each other, let's talk about soul, whatever we think soul is or not is. So I think this is what the AI can pretend having soul. AI can be so wonderful that you melt, and this is, and still it doesn't have this immediate. It imitates. It can learn to behave like having soul, and it can behave, and of course you can, maybe one day, some scientists argue that it's a question of time when AI get self-conscious.
Yeah.
Yes. And then maybe they start to get rid of humans because they say we don't need them. Yeah, this is the horror scenario, right? I can see it. I'm excited about AI and watching it from far and not trying, and I use it sometimes, not too much, and I can see more you feed the systems with information, more fuzzy it gets, more it hallucinates. Often it hallucinates because it uses also lots of non-relevant information. It takes everything.
Well, do you think one day then, in the future, that you'll be able to be speaking to a cybernetic being with an artificial intelligence and be completely fooled and assume that it's a person with a soul?
We are not far away. We are not far away. I would say 5 to 10 years, maybe 5 years, where you can have pretty authentic, and already today there are some where people practice, especially in Japan. There are such a freaks there. Many people live in an apartment, don't leave it, and live just via technology like we talk now, and don't go and get delivery food, and they don't leave the house. There are already many young
Really?
people. Yeah, it's already reality. So I guess those are just waiting to have also AI friends, and many have. It's already here. In a way, it's already here.
Is
And
this
of
bad though? You say that as this. I'm very neutral usually during these talks. I'm just curious. Is that bad to you?
I mean, look, I can take from two perspectives. I'm an old generation, but I was always open to technology from early days and excited in any age, including now. Interested in AI. It cannot be to ignore it. I cannot ignore it. But if it's bad, uh, I'm sure it is useful not only on practical but also on probably on human level. And since the human individuum in the modern society gets so alienated and disconnected and loneliness and less social, and they compensate through the electronic media, the social life, which used to be early days in family, in small towns. So today, people use the technology to social. Most people today meet their partners online. I didn't know. It's crazy.
Is this a problem though? Like let's
It's
go.
not. I don't say no, it's not because it's human. As long as human, there can be different channels. So I wouldn't say I'm not judging it as good and bad. I think it's okay.
What if it becomes? What if it doesn't become human and human anymore? What if people
That's the
just?
that's the question maybe we are even not able to answer. I would say we can guess now from our point now where we talk about it, what it could be. Maybe I'm wrong, and let's say it like this: the world is definitely we live today is different than 10, 5, 10, 15 years ago in many ways. I grew up in one of the probably also most free period, whatever this free means, because 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, it was like in a time life of humanity, probably one of in the Western society and
Right.
in
Yeah.
the
Very free. Very free. Yeah.
but also education, also a little equilibrium between rich and poor. You didn't need much money. You could, but it was probably just unique moment of in a linear timeline of human. It was unique moment. It was never before, and I am afraid it will be not never in such a dimension again. Maybe it will. It's maybe not fair to say it, but this is my reference. So, of course, from that reference, life experience, again, lottery winner, I would say that the as long as humans to human is good. In the moment humans start with machines, and they will be. This is my fear that we will be not able. This is the biggest threat of humanity that we will be not able to distinguish what is real and what is not real, or what is like. It's not only about AI. AI as well. Maybe one day you will not know if you talk to AI or. And I tell you, 30 years ago, in early days of internet, 96, 97, when I did also Exodus in Israel, this Moses crazy thing. So there was a new application called See You See Me. This was first technology where you could meet other people in very low resolution, very slow online. It was a sensation. You could worldwide meet people like we do now. It's today it's natural, and we see sharp image and perfect voice and everything. But in that time it was like science fiction. And I remember some guy created such a talking head, and there was little text, and I was answering, and it was already in that time a simple AI, and it took about half an hour till I find out I talked to a AI or to robot. You understand?
Interesting.
This is 30 years ago. Maybe I was so stupid and not distracted. But what I try to say that if it was in that time already in a simple way possible, what will be now and what is now and what will be in the future?
But that but that's
Obviously,
but that's a fear. That's a fear of not knowing what's real. But what is real? What is this that you're
You
saying?
are real, I am real. And I think if there is a two AI,
Why am I real? Because I physically exist and you can touch me. Why am I
well,
real?
you are first of all just on a physical level, you are from some kind of biological mass, and you have also you have also soul and language and expression and
But an
fears.
artificial intelligence will have a body that you can touch. It will have expression, intelligence, cognition,
You think it will
emotion.
have a fear? You think AI will
Yeah,
have a
eventually, yeah. I think it will. I think there'll be a period where it will mirror. I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised if there, like after that point, it will remove that part of it of itself because it might be more of a detriment. It might view it as more of a detriment than a positive. But on a philosophical level, not a spiritual level, a philosophical level, I don't see what's so bad about this. It's like another species. It's another aspect of intelligence.
yeah, with the difference. No, I don't want also demonize, and I'm open. And it's not, wow, AI will eat us, AI will destroy us. Maybe it will, and maybe you know, the golem became dangerous. They
Right. Yeah.
created, so maybe there is also some analogy that we do another golem,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
And maybe it will become stronger than us.
But why is that bad?
Then you will not exist, your children will not, nobody will exist, and there will be another AI, AI beings. Well, in an ultimate judgment, you can say, why not? We should be superior? You say basically, why should be superior to AI,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. That's my point.
And it's a good question, very sad, depressing. And it's not that, oh, humanity will disappear, but it's still amazing what happened with that we appear in this universe, on this earth, by probably millions of. It's so improbable that we appear not only as a humans but as a being at all, and then as a human, and then this that from millions of different genes you are here shaped. It's like it's not comparable to a lottery win. I think this is also such a present from whoever that we are appearing in the way we are. That this is already like this is a miracle.
Oh yeah. Look, I'm a big believer. I definitely think God did
It's a
it. But
miracle that, and it's miracle we met on it. I think it's like, I think every day is a miracle. Everything.
right.
This is how I perceive my life. But you know, I was not. I'm not. I don't know if I can say I'm a believer, but I still feel amazing. You know what I mean?
Like a
And I
spiritual
think
touch, like special.
spiritual touch and connection, and I'm amazed, and I say it's not me, you know, it's just going through me.
Right.
You know,
Right.
sometimes I say it's not my fault even in the positive, so I should not be too arrogant that I am now the cool guy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
just
I do.
somebody's maybe just putting all this through me, and I'm just
I feel that. I feel that all the time.
I am a
Yeah.
medium of something else.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
So I mean, my perspective is on a philosophical plane, just purely philosophical plane, cold, secular. I don't see a problem, meaning that there's no intrinsic value to one life form or another. So if we're all replaced by, cybernetic beings, then so be it. But on a spiritual level, and I'm a yid before everything else, I think that it's an opportunity, just like everything is an opportunity. Man created the atomic bomb, and that killed hundreds of thousands of people.
Right.
But it also secured the end of World War II, right?
Absolutely.
And the
Absolutely.
same thing with the internet. The internet has tremendous amounts of possibility for the sharing of free information, but it also has some very dark things on the internet as well.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
artificial intelligence, like it's the question for me is it going to be a benefit to humanity, or are we going to use it as
Absolutely,
such?
absolutely. You are 100% right. Everything what you say. When I'm old enough. I'm 95. When I was already 40 years old, when internet appeared, this was like salvation. This is why I did in Israel in the Negev. I compared.
DS part, yeah.
I had such a megalomaniac chutzpah that I compared appearance of internet with the same like exodus of Jews from Egypt. You understand? I thought it's such a historical moment of humanity that we get finally free of
Well,
time,
it is. It absolutely was.
free of time and space, that I metaphorically did this performance in the desert and walk on the symbolically on the steps of Moses and transmitted it. Like this was megalomania. But the funny thing is that I had no concept. I just say 2-3 sentences because it's really interesting. And it's also connected to a completely, I had this vision. I had no idea how to do it. No technical skills. And there is a very prominent international festival in close to Vienna in Linz, Ars Electronica, the most avant-garde and important, very rich one. And I went to the director. I said, I have this idea, because that year was about internet. Will come in the net. It was for the artists first time how they use internet. But in early days, 95, this was the first year. And he said, here, he gave me a bunch of money. I had no idea. I went to Israel. I was not prepared. I was not this guy who produced, prepare, make. I went there and let's see what happens. and then imagine, there was very few people which had access to internet, like in universities were the only one. And I contacted somehow somebody in Beersheba in the Ben Gurion University, and this guy said, "Oh, nice project, I help you." Then I needed a navigation, all these devices. I call at Motorola, look in a phone book, there was still not internet. Motorola Israel, I called, they connect me to guy, and they said, "Oh, okay, come over." And it was a military research of Israel. I was checked 5 times. They let me to this engineer, but by coincidence. And I sit there, they sit, engineer, no idea what I'm talking about. And I said, I'm doing this art projects. Maybe you could help me. Oh, that's interesting. They helped me. They developed all the technology for me. So you understand, other people would plan 1-2 years to call, to write letters. And I went just through my intuition and sensing, I got all that. I found a company which drove me in Zdeboker was a company called Petra Jeep. Mm-hmm. I rented everything like.
Was that spiritual? Is that a spiritual experience for you?
Definitely. Because it was not with normal proportions. I was like non-organized, no focus, and and I had a vision, and this vision was fulfilled. And then came Israeli television to Negev and shoot it. I have a video. I will.
Did you have any experiences like that before you were 30, when you were being a cab driver or studying or was it only when you really went out in the world?
I would say backwards. I didn't know, but it's a good question. Thinking backwards, I think there were many moments in my life where I couldn't digest, explain, but happened. And if I look backwards, I thought, what a magic. Especially in New York also, I was lost. I got amazing. I had one of the nicest build atelier for $250 a month through somebody. I had no money. Suddenly somebody up here said, you can make this horse cup. So I had never to do with horses. I didn't know where to go. They said, you need license. They gave me address. I went to the city and said, I need a license for horse cup driver. Yeah, fill form, name, where you live. I was not registered. I was not legal. American, not American. I cross American. They gave me this paper. And I went to the stable. They gave me horse. They didn't teach me how to. The horse knew better than me how to. I got every night lost in Central Park in the darkness. I didn't know how to get out. And who got me out? The horse, because the horse remembered the way to the stable.
That's amazing.
So I had a complex towards the horse, that the horse has higher IQ than me.
I see. I hear. Okay.
So many things like this happen. So you backwards, you wonder how it was possible.
For me, I feel personally in my life, and it's something that I try to tell my students very often, is that there's something in in the Talmud called a bas kol, which is like a voice, a heavenly voice. I think there's like this like a subroutine, if we were going to use a more technical or digital version of it, but that just it's the spirit. It's a Kadosh Baruch Hu, it's Hashem that just sometimes communicates with us in some way that helps guide us to the next place. Absolutely. And it's something very important to keep in touch with. It's not something that you can think about. It's not something you can sit on a piece of paper and try to decide what you're going to do next. It lives through you.
Absolutely. But we are also, I would say, also it's a gift.
But I think everyone has this gift. That's my theory.
Probably you are right, or you are for sure right, but somebody has, let's say, more open window, whatever the reason is. Somebody may be...
Oh, no, I just think no one listens. I think for every 100 people that have the gift, which is everyone, I think that's too many. I think for every 100,000 people that have this gift, maybe 3 or 4 people listen. Yeah. I just don't think it's something that's encouraged. It's not something that we're taught to think about. We're taught to follow orders, to be well thought out, to be planned. We're not taught to feel, be spontaneous from who we are.
Absolutely. You are an artist, man.
If I am, then we're all artists. We're all artists then.
No, we are. I agree. Artist is nothing else just having these open channels and understand that there is more than this material.
It's expression. Again, what do I know about art? But if I were to see a famous art piece, Van Gogh or something, like there's this imagery that's eliciting a more visceral, almost automatic response, and it is an amazing art piece. But there are pieces that aren't trying to impress the optics. They're pieces that are just purely to evoke an intellectual ponderance, an intellectual response.
Unfortunately, most today modern contemporary curators and art historians say, imagine how screwed or how bad it is. If art today doesn't have a social or political message, it's not art.
That's terrible. It's
terrible. I know. And and I also understand that art, I believe, this is my conviction, that you can have deep, there are so-called sensual artists, and then there are so-called concept artists, which have some idea and translate it into art. I often say, ironically and provocatively, those which are concept artists have not enough sense, so because they are not talented, they intellectualize. You understand? So it's like a compensating, and they say, look, but it's an idea, it's not about the sense.
Well, you're not going to let me say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. As a master, what I know, what would you tell? What would you tell the next generation of people that want to express?
First of all, I know I'm contradicting myself, but I would say even they won't express. I say often we are, most of us who express are culture polluters.
Culture polluters, interesting.
I think there is an overproduction, and I can even include myself of production of written, visual, narrative. So it's a culture pollution. Mm-hmm. And I think this is an issue we should, as ones who want express, think first. And it's not, do we really who is interested? Am I so good? Am I so powerful and impact? Can I have really the impact that the public deserve my expression? This should be the first.
Interesting. A lot less self-centered. A lot less self-centered, right? A lot less of self.
Because so much egomania, and it's really just polluting, and it's not fair. It's not fair because then people think, this is art, and even it's not really good. They think, this is art or this is culture. Mm-hmm. So you have even a responsibility, and this is very difficult because most people which have the need to self-express have also ego-driven. Beside any, there is no any self-reflection. But it's a long story. We could make a whole conference about this issue.
I'm sure. Well, listen, Michael, I wanted to go through a couple pieces with you. We were only able to get through one, but our
Sure.
time is almost up.
No,
But
no problem. We in 1 year or next life we will repeat it.
yes, then now I'd love that. I'd love that. But before we go, I want to know if there's anything that you feel that you could add to us. What do you want to tell people that might be watching the show? What message do you have for us? Or maybe a question that you have, I don't know. But
Well, I've been many times in Israel. I have so different groups. I've not been so much involved. I met even some rabbis and some, but I was never in this kind of education. I was once in a because Mel Alexenberg, which is a close friend, I mentioned him. He's a professor. He's a religious man, and he's also a scientist. Very interesting triple identity. He's today a very old man, and he took me once to Midrasha. Is it a female school? Midrasha, you call it? Correct me. And so I have seen some. What I would like to say that first of all, they are very lucky having somebody like you with such a great mind and such a wisdom and openness and creative mind, that this is already having a good teacher or rabbi or however you want to do it. It's an amazing thing. And we discuss it, that we are also learning from the young generation and they learn from us. So it's like giving. So this is a wonderful moment. I did it for 33 years. And I think to be a young person today, everything is open. I don't think that they have better or worse condition than other generation. I think every generation has its chances and possibilities and miracles around them and in front of them, and be just open. And I think it's they should be just they are just lucky, and they are chosen being just around you and learning. I mean, what better you can do? You are cultivating your soul. Some people buy lots of clothes and hair and make beautiful and think they are cultivating. But at the end, what is the life about? You cultivate your mind and soul, right? What else? Everything else. And I think in that sense, we are not so different. We just practice in different, but at the end, you don't do, I don't think you do such a different work. And the same your student. There are, I think when I had my students, we would have different, similar talks like you have, or topics.
yeah, absolutely.
So it's for me, it's not such a difference.
Interesting.
It's a very wonderful having this opportunity. It's like almost chosen.
Right.
This
It's
is
a
a
privilege.
gift.
It's a privilege.
It's a
It
big
is.
privilege, and it's a big gift, and that's wonderful. And this is a good starting point for life, what will come with all the sorrows and happiness and uncertainty. You know, there are people which are born in very rich and saturated everything materialistically, and still it doesn't look good. And I see them, and I met them in my life. So it's not about. Of course, it's good to have a house where you live and to have enough food and having a kind of civilized, at least minimum civilized reality. But everything else is an illusion in a materialistic world.
There's Revolbi, one of the big leaders in ethics in the Jewish community, a couple generations ago, said the way that he classified the world is that it is a world of mirages.
What is it?
World of mirages.
What is mirages?
It's like illusions. Like a mirage is when you're in the desert and you see,
Fata Morgana. Like you see an image and there is nothing.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes, but still, I think what is amazing, maybe in the mirages, but what is amazing that we can even materialize those mirages. So we can have visions and they happen. So this is also amazing, but I don't mean in a materialistic material.
No, of course, no. I understand what you mean. You mean on a much deeper level.
Exactly.
But that's what the world is for. The world is, there's a film, and that I saw when I was a kid, called The Matrix, and the idea of so it's really, it's such an incredible idea for a film. I think that really is illustrative. It feels so Jewish. It really does.
Yeah, and it is, and it's, you can that's the magic of our existence, that we can sometimes we have and this is what I think also about my art, and this, that you can materialize some ideas and make them happen, coming true. But I have much more cynical definition of humanity. There are I say always, there is just two kinds of humans. All humans are charlatans. You say charlatans?
Yeah, sure.
And we distinguish only between two kinds: good charlatans and bad charlatans.
Yes, that's quite cynical. Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
I hope it was useful somehow.
Great.
And
I enjoyed the conversation.
Okay, I hope the students around yourself or whoever is there will too. It was big pleasure and enlargement of my reality with you. And
Great.
I'm open-minded in a future, far future, near future, whenever, if you want to have another dialogue of a third kind, please.
Sure.
Let me know.
Let's do it again sometime.
And yeah. And it was pleasure. I hope.
Do me a favor. Do me one favor though. Tell Kamila I said hi, because if it was not for Kamila, we would never have met.
You are right. You are right.
Never have met.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I still often, we just 2 days ago talked about it. This night, empty boat. It was almost empty. There was nobody.
Yeah.
And we just meet there. Everybody from his flying, and here we are. It's also.
It was fun. It was it was fun because she was taking a picture of me, probably because I was visibly Jewish in Venice.
Absolutely.
She
did.
Right.
She did.
But I caught it, and I was like, I'd love to, strike up a conversation.
I know, and you started. You started. I remember that, and it could have gone forever. There is this Jewish joke, where there is this giant, how you call it, these giant ships, how you call those?
Yeah,
giant
ships, yeah, sure.
Cruise ships.
Like carnival ships, yeah, sure.
And there is, in the middle of Pacific, giant explosion, and the ship sinks, and one guy, Mr. Cohen, Jewish guy, flies through the air and end up in the water. And another guy, Mr. Green, another Jewish, land beside him. And the rest all disappear. And 5 months later, they find those two guys on a small island, 5,000 miles away, survivors. They say, sensation, CNN, ABCD, everybody, how you got here? And Mr. Cohen said, there was a big explosion. I fly through the air, land up in the water. Suddenly, this Green, I am not a big friend of him, land beside me. I thought, oh, what a bad luck. Do I need this guy in this situation? But once he was here, I asked him, how are you? How is your family? How is your children? How is your business? And we talk and talk and talk, and suddenly we were on this island.
Yeah, that's a Jewish joke. Definitely a Jewish joke.
I said it because we could have talk and talk and talk on this boat. This was my association. I let you go. It was big pleasure.
Thank you so much, Michael. We'll do it again sometime.
We hear from each other. All the best.
Be well, Michael. Be well. Thanks,
You too. Bye.